This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Good evening, you're watching NDTV with me, Rishika Barua. Over the course of the next half an hour, we will be taking your phone calls and questions live on the broadcast. We have eminent doctors joining us on the broadcast. They will be answering your questions live. The number is flashing on our screens. You can dial us and ask us any questions that you have pertaining to the coronavirus. Joining us on the broadcast this evening, Dr. Arundhati Dasgupta. She's a consultant endocrinologist. She's joining us from Siliguri. She's also the director of the Rudraksh Super Speciality Care. Dr. Uday Lal is with us. He's a consultant physician and a diabetologist. He's also the chief physician of the Deccan and Omega Hospitals, joining us from Hyderabad. Dr. Devdatta Bhattacharya is also with us. He's the clinical director and chief of Cath Lab Services. He is also a prominent cardiologist, joining us from Kolkata. So appreciate you, doctors, for being with us on the broadcast this evening. Dr. Dasgupta, if I could begin by asking you, we've been reporting on a very peculiar story today from Noida, where patients tested negative twice. They were discharged from the hospital, and then in a fourth test that was actually conducted on them, they tested positive again. The fifth test is negative. The results of another test are still awaited. So it's been a very interesting story, and a story that has really roused a lot of curiosity on how patients who tested negative twice could actually have tested positive in a fourth test. Could you shed some light on that?
So, when you get these tests done, they are basically the RT-PCR tests, and the sensitivity of the tests, they basically come down over a period of time, and it also depends on which period of time you are testing. So the reason for the relapse on the fourth test could possibly be, it might be a relapse, but it could also have been a fact that, the earlier tests might not have picked up what they should have. Also, then, in these cases of viral infections, there are questions of mutations. There are questions of a different viral genome that is being tested when they're using the PCRs. So that could probably be the reason. So that is the reason why these patients get tested over a period of time, and just not one test is considered as adequate in these cases.
All right, it's it's a case that has been very curious, and there's a lot of questions, and we'll sort of hopefully address a few of those later as well. But our first caller, Suhasini from Bengaluru, is on the phone line. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening, doctor. So I have a question regarding patients with rheumatoid arthritis, and the leading question is hydroxychloroquine is actually one of the medicines prescribed for.
All right, Subhasini, I'm afraid we have a very bad audio line with you. I'm going to request you to dial in again. We couldn't seem to really catch what you were saying, so we'll hopefully try and. All right, you have to mute your television volume, is what I'm being told by my producers at the moment. So try and do that and dial us again, and we'll be happy to take on your questions. But if I could just, Dr. Lal, maybe ask you a follow-up question to what I was talking about earlier as well. Is it peculiar? Does it worry you as a doctor that patient who's tested negative twice is discharged as per procedure, and then the hospital keeps a sample which comes positive? Do you feel that's a bit of a worrying situation, presents itself as a whole new grey area perhaps?
Yes, I think we need to be a little wary about that, as doctor mentioned earlier, that maybe the timing when the test was done earlier was not quite correct, because we all know that the RT-PCR test, when it's done earlier in the first 5 to 7 days, picks up the COVID-19 earlier, right, and faster. So if it's done subsequently later, we may not really get a correct idea. The viral load tends to go down So that is one of the reasons why you may have a false negative, and then sometimes if the disease, if the test is not done correctly, you may get this problem where you may get a false positive again, or you could get the patient could really be infected at that time.
All right, it's going to raise several new questions on how many tests should actually be done before one can be 100% sure. And we'll hopefully ask you some more of those questions later on. But Haroon from Srinagar is dialing in at the moment. Haroon, go ahead, ask your question.
Congratulations to NDTV. I have one question. I'm from Srinagar. I have a very simple question. That is, if we see the figures globally, right now, if we check the figures of France, they are having a lot of positive test patients, and at the same time, their death rate is quite low. So, do our doctors in India, do they have some plan of either going to France or adopting the policy of the France, how they have a less number of patients dying right now? Do our doctors need to go to France, or there is some policy in the pipeline where they can check up?
Dr. Bhattacharya, do you want to take that question on? The mortality rate, in France has been high. India is not as high, but that's also because we're not testing so much. But is there perhaps, something we could learn from international practices? Any model, from which our doctors could learn?
Well, I think there is differing mortalities in different countries, and the causes for that are diverse. So far as India is concerned, we are hoping that since India is a younger country demographically, our mortality rates will be lesser, because we know that under the age of 55, the mortality is lesser, and above the age of 60, it is higher. And as a country, 85% of our population is below the age of 55. So we are really hoping that this would help us down the line in terms of mortality. But I'm really worried about the over 60s, because we have a substantial number of these patients. And if they start falling ill, then our hospitals will get quickly overwhelmed.
Right. Also, perhaps I could ask, Dr. Bhattacharya once again, you're also a cardiologist. So it's not just patients who are above the age of 60, but even those predisposed with conditions. What about heart patients? What are the kind of sort of precautions they should be taking? Is there something that they should, focus on doing? Any particular do's and don'ts for heart patients, since you're a cardiologist, doctor?
I think amongst the heart patients, the most vulnerable are those that are suffering from heart failure. And they are the ones who are most likely to succumb if they have the COVID-19 disease. So far as other types of heart patients are concerned, like hypertension and diabetes and ischemic heart disease, there was a scare regarding the usage of some drugs like angiotensin inhibitors and ARBs. And now the advice is not to change any of your medications right now.
Okay.
Keep taking your medications, especially if they are heart failure medications, and do not change them.
Right. All right. Our next caller, Seher, is on the phone line from Delhi. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Seher. I'm from Delhi, but I have a question for someone in Kashmir, like my parents stay back in Kashmir. I have a question. We are meat lovers and we eat a lot of meat. And my dad has cholesterol for sure. And right now, if you see, the spread is really bad in Kashmir. Like, it's spreading much more than any other state in India for now. So how does that impact my parents? They're both above 60. They're both old, and they're both, my dad's very fond of meat. So does that affect, should they cut down on meat, or?
Dr. Lal, do you want to take that on? Any specific advice to those who are non-vegetarians or meat lovers at this time?
With respect to her question, eating red meat really is not contraindicated per se, but it definitely needs to be cooked well, that's for sure. It should be well cooked, and then only it should be consumed. That is a very important factor. And if he has cholesterol, obviously it's not the best thing to eat red meat. But if he's still very fond of it, yes, a small quantity can be taken. But I would like to re-emphasize that you would need to be cooked very well, and obviously other precautions should be taken, like frequent hand washing. Make sure that you have physical distancing, and those factors should be taken into account also to see if the patient has overall well-being in these times.
All right, so a whole host of factors actually need to be taken into consideration. Muhammad Abdul Qadir is also joining us on the broadcast at the moment, calling in from Hyderabad. Go ahead. Mr. Qadir, can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir, ask your question.
Ma'am. Yes, I just want to ask a question to Dr. Uday Lal. One of my worker is age of 19. Since 2 weeks, he's suffering with fever. So constantly increasing and getting down. He is having severe body pain. So what should I suggest him? Either it is a case of corona.
Dr. Lal, do you want to take that on?
Well, if you're saying the history is for 2 weeks and he's having some body pains and there are no other symptoms like you would expect some other symptoms in corona in addition to high fever, some cough, etc., diarrhea, other features are not there, and if it's been constant for 2 weeks, then we need to actually evaluate him for other causes of fever too. But as if he is not responding to plain paracetamol, then I would definitely recommend that he sees a physician and he gets some advice. Even if he doesn't see him initially, he can, consult a doctor on telemedicine and take his advice.
All right, so definitely consult your doctor because it may not be coronavirus, but it could be another disease that you could be dealing with. Praveen from Pune is dialing in. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, doctor. Okay, me and my wife, every evening we love to walk or jog every evening. My society is a gated community. My question is that should we continue running or jogging every evening for an hour or so?
All right, Dr. Das Gupta, do you want to take that on? A lot of running enthusiasts, a lot of athletes at this moment finding the lockdown very difficult to cope with.
Yeah. So, initially the other countries that had implemented lockdown rules did not put a bar on morning or evening walks. They did allow once a day walk. But what is happening these days is we are also concerned about whether this virus is airborne. Now, we do not have exact data to tell us the same, but there are studies which are telling us. Now, in case it's found to be airborne, then what's going to happen is a person who has maybe walked by some time back and has coughed, that virus would be there in the air. And the next time when you are going out to walk, you might just inhale it and it might go inside. Right. So that is the reason probably most of the gated communities where a certain number of people are staying within a closed area, there they have restricted the morning and evening walks. So probably for some time now till we are a little more sure about the exact transmission type of the disease, of the infection, it's a little better to maybe you get
perhaps for the time being it is a safer option to stay home and try and exercise at home if you can. RK Bhatt from Srinagar calling in. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm from Srinagar, and my question is to any other doctors available. I'm basically from district Kulgam, and the first case that has been tested positive here in Kulgam, he is symptomless. There are no symptoms of this COVID-19, and it has come to the media also that 78% of the cases in Jammu and Kashmir are symptomless. And as we see, there is a meager testing of these individuals. How could we know that I have been tested positive? Because 78% of these are positive.
Let me ask Dr. Bhattacharya to take that on. Dr. Bhattacharya, there's been a lot of concern over asymptomatic carriers of the disease. How do you obviously can't identify whether you have it or whether somebody next to you has it. What do you do in a situation like this?
Well, that is the whole point of the lockdown, because you have a lot of these asymptomatic carriers who can spread the disease. This is a particularly dangerous disease because the incubation period is long, and during that period the patients do not have symptoms, and they do not go to their doctors, they just carry on normally, and all the while they are infecting other people who are in the vicinity. So that the answer to that question is that there is no way really to know and spot these patients. And the whole point of the national lockdown is precisely this, so that we don't have a steep rise in cases from this disease spread by asymptomatic carriers.
All right. So the risk of you having a disease or passing it on to anyone, you could be an asymptomatic carrier, or somebody next to you could be an asymptomatic carrier, which is why all doctors are recommending that you stay home, you stay indoors, and don't even step out, for your morning or your evening walk. Shankar from Chennai, our next caller. Go ahead.
Ma'am, good evening. See, actually, we inhale at home like turmeric powder, like just boiling in the water again. Like, I just wanted to know from the doctors, like inhaling, in fact, the turmeric powder to the boiling water, is it harmful or harmless for the body? And just other than that, actually, in fact, we have a senior person at home who has got some neuro, diabetic and BP also. When we go outside and come back again for buying the essential product, in fact, what precautions we need to take, and basically these kind of people at home, again, senior people at home.
All right. Dr. Lal, do you want to take that on? Home remedies, turmeric water, inhaling turmeric water, etc. Do those work?
Well, really, there's nothing to suggest that these work, but they don't really harm anybody. So if somebody wants to do some saltwater gargling or take turmeric, they can take it. But I don't really think it helps in preventing COVID-19. As far as the second part of the gentleman's question is, whilst going out, and coming back with groceries, what precautions one needs to take. Obviously, the same precautions we need to do is first, as soon as he gets in, make sure that the groceries that he gets, if he's getting it in a cardboard box, preferably keep it outside. Make sure that the groceries are cleaned very well before you actually get them, because you can have fomites on surfaces of boxes, etc. And once he gets home, he must clean his hands very well, a minimum of 20 seconds, and try to keep a distance within individuals at home too, if you can.
Right, especially if somebody has a predisposed condition. I think the precautions have to be even more heightened.
Elderly people at home, they're obviously more predisposed.
Right. Ramesh Dhar from Kolkata is on the phone line as well. Go ahead, Mr. Dhar.
Good evening, doctor. It is believed that persons who recover from COVID-19 disease develop immunity. My question is, how long does it persist? And does the lockdown process delay the persons being immune?
Dr. Das Gupta, do you want to take that on?
Yeah, so regarding the immunity, it's because the body develops an antibody against a particular infection that you have the immunity. Now, because we've not known this virus for very long, we do not as of now still know how long this immunity remains, because there have been certain cases where we have seen relapses, where people have tested positive again after a period of time, and we're seeing that in China as well. So that is why we do not exactly know how, we do not know whether these are reinfections or relapses and how long this antibody is lasting. It's too early to say that. I didn't get the second part of his question. There was something else that he asked.
Right, sorry, I think there was a bit of an audio glitch there, so we couldn't catch the second part of your question. Apologies. But our next caller, Ibris, is on the phone line from Srinagar. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, doctor.
Yes,
hello.
Go ahead. Ibris, we can hear you. Good evening. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question, actually, ma'am, nowadays we are hearing a lot about this asymptomatic patients.
Yes.
Now, my question is, two parts में मेरे सवाल के two parts है. एक, ये asymptomatic जो patient है, उसमें ये virus कब तक जिंदा रह सकता है? और second part उसी के साथ related है. Ultimately, what will be the fate of that patient? I mean, will a time come when the patient will ultimately show the symptoms, or the virus will go itself?
All right. So I think I'm just going to divide that up. If Dr. Bhattacharya, could you answer the first part of the question? Incubation period in asymptomatic patients. I mean, if you're asymptomatic, that's a bit of a grey area, isn't it?
Yes, I mean the incubation period is around 14 days. So you should be showing some symptoms. However, we must remember that this is a mild disease in a lot of patients. So you could just have a little body ache, a very low grade temperature, and that could be it. And you wouldn't know whether you had the disease or not. So that is the tricky part of the whole scenario. Right. And also probably that is the reason why we have not seen that many cases because we have not done testing to that extent.
All right, Dr. Lal, you want to take on the second part of that question because that's also very interesting. You know, the fate of asymptomatic patients, do they just make a natural recovery? Can it prove to be fatal even if you don't have symptoms? What happens?
No, see, majority of the patients, as Dr. Bhattacharya said, 80 to 85% may be just mild cases, and
Right.
about 10 to 15% of the cases actually show some symptoms and require hospitalization. It's only about 5% of these cases that really go into a very severe form. So the only way of actually getting to know the asymptomatic cases is we need to test more. The more
Right.
we're going to test, that is the only answer for that. So once we start testing more, we're going to pick up these cases.
All right,
So,
Mansoor from Mangaluru, our next caller is on the phone line as well. Go ahead.
Hello, I would like to talk to Dr. Das Gupta.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. You can ask your question.
Ma'am, previously we were discussing about again patient is testing positive. Like
Yes.
second time.
Yes.
So you told it may be due to mutation in the virus. But what I feel is it is more to do with the when you tested, like incubation period, and it is more on the patient like sensitivity of the test. Nothing to do with the
Yes.
mutation in the short term.
All right, Dasgupta, Dr. Dasgupta, do you want to just clarify that? I think it's a grey area,
I think,
at the moment as
these-
well. We haven't seen a case like this
Exactly.
so far, where after
Right.
2 negatives, there's been a positive. So a lot of speculation.
So this is just, these are the possibilities that we've just, laid down. The sensitivity was number one, as I did mention, that, the PCR sensitivity does go down as the time progresses. And so it's also about the way of testing, the time of testing. This is just, the concept about mutation is just another, a concept that has been put forward to explain some of the relapses, not this person, but
Yes.
some for some other people, but we still don't know. We're still speculating.
All right, it is speculative at the moment, but it has definitely been a case that has aroused a lot of questions and curiosities. Of 2 patients who tested negative twice in a row, they were discharged and tested positive, and now they've been readmitted into the hospital. So one test already done, which is negative, and there is another test result which is awaited. And if that's a negative, then they will in fact be discharged as well. So it's been an interesting case. So appreciate you, doctors, for taking on the questions and answering all of them so well. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Thank you to our viewers who've been dialing in as well. With that, it's a wrap on the show. That's all we have time for. Thanks for watching.